There was something so pleasant about that place. Even your emotion had an echo in so much space. And when you're out there without care, I was out of touch. But it wasn't because I didn't know, no. I just knew too much. Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Possibly. And I hope that you're having the time of your life. Think twice. That's my only advice. Oh, who do you think you are? Oh, bless your soul. Really think you're in control.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning. I hope you guys are well, and thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to spend a few moments with me here on SML TV. A few shout outs before we begin. I saw my dear friend John Lesnar, who's always such a great support. Thank you so much. I see Tracy Mulenga here. Hello, Tracy. Thank you for watching. Right? Somebody says name the song, please. I should do that. I should add on that. That's that CeeLo Green song. In Zambia we say Jelo, but CeeLo Green. I forget the title of it. You guys know better than I do, as always. Good morning to you, everybody. Thank you. Doesn't matter where you're watching us from. Bogota, Colombia, St. Petersburg, St. Lucia, Stalingrad. Does Stalingrad still exist? Berlin, Germany, Berlin, Deutschland. Wherever you're watching me from today, welcome. Thank you so much for being with me. Guys, a few moments today, I want to talk to you about something that is close to my heart, because this is something that the African church is struggling with. And very, very slowly, the African church is becoming a shadow of its former self, because it has been infiltrated and inundated by these charlatans that call themselves prophets, when really they are anything but prophets. They are charlatans, they are crooks, they are vagabonds, there are thieves clothed in sheep's clothing, when really they are ravenous wolves that are waiting to devour anyone that will lend an ear to their poison. And this is the reason you need gatekeepers, people that will sound the alarm, people that see it for what it is. Guys, let's not get it twisted. Nobody is perfect, but we can see where the anomalies are and we sound the alarm. We're talking today about this young man by the name of Shepherd Bushiri. He's a Malawian self-proclaimed prophet. We've been hearing in the news the last few days that he is planning to come to Zambia. And this is the all elusive question that we all have to face and answer, not only conclusively, but convincingly. And I will give you the answer to this question. The question is, why does Fugitive Bushiri want to come to Zambia? Before I answer that, we have to answer the question, who is Shepherd Bushiri? You remember a few years ago, Shepherd Bushiri, and when I say shepherd, that's his given name. It's not a title. He's not the title. It's his name. That's the name that his family gave him when he was born, Shepherd Bushiri. He goes by the title of Major One. And let me very quickly, as a side note, mention that anytime one of the reddest flags, or one of the most red flags, red as in color, one of the reddest flags that you will ever see is when you hear a so-called prophet refer to himself as Major One or Seer something or Genesis. So whenever they begin to give themselves, they bestow upon themselves a title. That's a red flag. And there's a reason they do that. The reason they give themselves these titles is that so that they're not traceable in terms of who they are. For many years, nobody knew who Seer, he refers to himself as Seer One. Nobody knew his name. Everybody would refer to him as Seer One. Well, his real name is Andrew Ejimadu. If you Google Seer One, the only things that pop up are the things that he wants you to see, because he's created a facade around this name. But when you Google his real name, his given name, his government name, Andrew Ejimadu, what comes up is a whole slew of sin, a whole catalog of fraud and child molestation and rape and all of that. So my point in saying that is Bushiri's stage name is Major One. And anytime you hear a so-called man of God bestow upon himself some abstract, strange name, that is a red flag. So Bushiri, a few years ago, he became famous because he released a videotape, an amateur videotape, and he claimed that he could walk on air. You remember this. I mean, here it is, Bushiri's misguided flock. And there are many of you that are watching me now. You're part of that group of deplorables. You're part of that group of people that believe in people like Bushiri. You are a misguided part of his flock. You guys believed that he could walk on air. That's what he sold you. He sold you the lie that he was able to walk on air. And there's a videotape. It's everywhere. I mean, you can watch it. And all it shows is, first of all, there's a wide shot of him walking down the steps. And then all of a sudden, there's a close-up of his feet dangling in midair. And all that was two people standing on either side with an iron bar, and Bushiri was holding on to that iron bar. Of course, you couldn't see that because the iron bar and the two men were not in frame. The only thing that was in frame were his feet dangling. But the trick was, and this is such an amateur trick. I mean, a 6-year-old child can do this trick. It just shows you the level of ignorance that the African church is embroiled in. Umuntu aimatio me I can walk on air. Akopana video. I katira chi iron bar. Umuntu on either side. Varemwikata. I katira chi iron bar. Edo ambokuchita dango. And then the camera does a close-up of his feet. Na imamwaumfrida. Mwambokupun, hey, God. It's very sad. This speaks about the destructive psychological manipulation of these people that call themselves prophets, when really they are merchants of deceit. Merchants of deceit, vagabonds, jackals in sheep's clothing. And they are ravenous wolves that will devour you until there's nothing left. Here it is, Bushiri was arrested in South Africa, because as you know, he's originally from Malawi, relocated to South Africa, somehow managed to get a permanent residence document. 5 people were suspended because Bushiri bribed members of the Home Office over there in South Africa for him to obtain a residence permit. Now, because I know Bushiri, misguided members of Bushiri's flock will flood my inbox and say, well, how do you know that? It's there. All you got to do, don't just take my word for it, do your research. It's there. 5 members of the Home Office in South Africa, 5 employees were suspended because Bushiri had bribed them. He had induced them financially for him to be given a resident permit over there in South Africa. So he peddled his wares. You know, he preached this crazy prosperity gospel. And this is the other thing that is indicative about these false prophets. There is no great commission in their message. There's nothing in their message about taking you to the foot of the cross. There's nothing in their message about planting your feet on a higher ground. There's nothing in their message about you being blood bought and blood washed by the blood of Jesus. Nothing. It's all, I see it in the spirit. I prophesy this, that, and the other. Selling you some pie in the sky. And he was doing that in South Africa. And the whole time he was embezzling money. The case involved, or rather involves 102 million South African rands, which is a little over 6.6 million US dollars. An investigative wing, an elite investigative wing, arrested and charged Bushiri. Bushiri was given bail. His bail conditions were very strict. He had to surrender his passports. He had to remain within a certain perimeter over there in South Africa. He couldn't leave that perimeter. But Bushiri being who he is, Bushiri being the fraudster that he is, he even after surrendering his passports, both him and his wife, under the cover of darkness, fled South Africa, eluded the police. Now, again, someone from the Home Office was queried and suspended because they asked, how in the hell do you have a person of interest who has been charged, who's been given bail under strict conditions, whose passports have been confiscated? How in the hell does that person, along with his wife, make it out of South Africa back to Malawi with no passport? So here it is. He went back to Malawi. He reestablished his church or his gathering, whatever the hell that thing's called. It's not a church. It's a group of wayward misfits is what it is. And the whole time that Bushiri was being accused of all of this, his rabid followers, I mean, they were just insane. No, you can't do this to our prophet. The eyes of his followers are on him and not on God. That is the mark of a cult leader. He goes to Malawi, and then in a move, for some of you, this amazes me. Not many of you know this. But the day that Makitu, who happens to be someone I love and I respect, Makitu went to Bushiri's church. Bushiri invited Makitu to his home. That's called clouting. That's Bushiri's attempt at getting his foot in the door. Whenever he's photographed with a person of note, and apparently the word on the street is Mr. Harry Kalaba is also very, very, has strong ties to Bushiri. That's worrisome. Let me say that again. The word on the street is that presidential candidate Harry Kalaba has very strong links to Bushiri. That is worrisome. That raises red flags. That raises my eyebrows, even though I don't have any, but it does. And I don't mean to sound facetious. I'm serious when I say that. So it's a move designed to create an atmosphere of clout. When Bushiri takes a photograph with one of the biggest music artists in Zambia, that is Bushiri's attempt at getting his foot in the door and coming back here to Zambia. He's been here before, but here's the thing. We don't want that type of psychological manipulation in Zambia. We don't. We have moved way past that. And it is time now for governments, authorities to pay close attention to these people that infiltrate countries, all in the name of God, when really all they come to do is fleece, rape, kill, and destroy. It is a known fact, and nobody talks about this, which I find strange and odd. Bushiri has got multiple concubines all over the continent of Africa. He created an account on Telegram specifically designed to hook young girls within his congregation, within his network of churches. All he has to do is just look at a girl in one of the groups and fly her down. He used to do this when he was in South Africa. He would fly girls, Zambian, African girls from all over the world, from Russia, from Europe, fly them to South Africa, put them up in the most beautiful palatial hotels, have his way with them. Sometimes he would make them pregnant. When they would tell him, I'm pregnant, sometimes he would say, keep the baby. Other times he would say, abort the baby. Nobody talks about this, but it is happening. And you guys, your eyes are wide shut. You need gatekeepers. That's what you need. You need gatekeepers. Now, here's the thing. For those of you that are asking, why do you think Bushiri wants to come to Zambia? The answer is very simple. He wants to infiltrate the Zambian psyche. Bottom line. He wants to be in a position of influence and manipulation. The same MO, the same modus operandi used by this Andrew Ejimadu. When he lived here in Zambia, he caused all kinds of havoc. He made sure that he was very close to high-ranking politicians, very close to members of the entertainment industry, very close to high-ranking police officers, in many cases, very close to judges. Why? To infiltrate the power structure of our country. In a sense, these guys are spiritual spies. That's all they do. Bushiri's desire to come to Zambia is steeped in infiltrating the Zambian psyche. Manipulation. I'll never forget, I go to different, I get my feet done, because it saves me the trouble of having to do it. You go to these places where they clip your feet, and I remember speaking to one young lady who happened to be a member of Bushiri's church. The moment somehow his name came up and we were talking, as a group of us in there, and I said something about Bushiri. I said something to the effect, I think I said something like, well, those guys are charlatans. They're crooks. This girl, whose job it was to clip my nails, that's her job. She looked at me and she said, Mr. Mwera, if you keep talking about my prophet like that, I'll hurt you. And I thought for a second, I thought she was kidding. But I could see it in her eyes. I saw the glaze in her eyes. She said, you keep talking about my prophet like that, I will hurt you. I said, well, honey, I'm never coming here again. And I left. The level of deceit. Now, imagine that's just one person. Can you imagine the power of evil influence that these chaps wield over our young people's minds? Let me say this loud and clear. Ministry of Home Affairs, immigration, you would do well to not allow people like this into our country. Bushiri is a fugitive. The South African authorities, even if Bushiri bribed his way, bought his way out of South Africa under the cloud of darkness, we shouldn't sit here thinking, oh, he can come to Zambia and we welcome him with open arms. That ought not to be so. Now, here's the trick that Bushiri, this is the response he gives. I had to leave South Africa because my life was in danger. No, you had to leave South Africa because the fraud case was very quickly closing in on you and you were going to prison. And this is one of the most indicative thing about these false prophets. They shroud it, they cover it in, no. God told me to leave because my life was in danger. And then he has the audacity. He has the unmitigated gall to compare himself with the Apostle Paul. How dare you? How dare you? My admonition to the Ministry of Home Affairs. Do not allow this man to come here. We don't need him here. He's only coming here to infiltrate the young, fertile minds of our Zambian youth, to infiltrate them, to enter their psyche, and to manipulate him and everyone like him. They're all in the same group. Hubert Angel, same group. Seer Nothing, Andrew Ajimadu, same group. Alpha Cow, remember Alpha Cow? You know, the guy from Congo, the guy that claimed that he raised a young boy from the dead, Elliot. Remember Elliot? Wake up, Elliot. The whole South African, black South Africa, cheered. Oh, person's been raised from the dead. Elliot was once dead, but oh, he's now alive. And they cheered. Ubu Fifia Weka Weka. Where is Alpha Cow today? He also had to leave the Congo. South Africa. He had to go back to wherever the hell he went to. All of these chops, Bushiri, Alpha Cow, Hubert Angel, name them, charlatans, demons dressed as angels. Ministry of Home Affairs, do your job. Don't make us do your job because, honey, we will do your job, okay? If Bushiri comes here, I will personally go to the South African embassy and have a group of South Africans hold Bushiri down and pin him to the ground until he stops moving and surrender him to the South African authorities. Don't make us do that because we will. I'm serious. I'm serious. All right. Ooh, I had to get that off my chest. Great. Thanks, guys. Thank you for watching. God bless you.